So in one fell swoop, Nintendo just destroyed, well, not destroyed, it just changed gaming for the negative. It destroyed a lot of its credibility in terms of being a publisher that genuinely was on the forefront of just kind of doing positive for games, or gamers in general, by sticking to, you know, keeping their content not really bogged down by the whole agenda pushing bullshit. But now they essentially went the route that everyone knows gaming inevitably will get to, but nobody wanted gaming to be there, especially not today. Definitely with prices being what they are, people having issues when it comes to just basic living necessities, all the other crazy shit going on in the world. I'm not just speaking about America, but just more so just all over. A lot of shit is going on that just cost money. And what Nintendo did has got to be one of the most predatory practices that has ever been done within the gaming sphere. And the backlash they're receiving is necessary, but also you can tell this shit is gonna get a hell of a lot worse, especially depending on how successful the Switch 2 is actually going to be. Now, here's the kicker. Nintendo has a diehard dedicated fan base. Like, these people are ridiculous. And the sad thing is that I can tell that this probably is going to be on the same traction as like the fighting game community, because they think basically the same in terms of where, for whatever fucking reason, they're genuinely bogged down by the notion of just like, oh, I need to get it immediately, regardless of what might be wrong with it. They don't ask any questions. It's just the fact that that product came out under this name or whatever. I need to get it. And it's like, well, is it complete? Is it finished? Does it work well? That doesn't matter. It's coming out. I'm supposed to have this because it involves this. And then that's it. That's just typically the mindset of most people who play fighting games, as well as like people who essentially are like super into Nintendo. Look at what happened with the last Pokemon game. That game was a buggy, ridiculous mess, but sold over like 200 million copies in like the first couple of days it came out. Why? Pokemon is the biggest gaming franchise ever, and it has a ridiculous fan base that does not care. You have so many people that essentially are used to, as well as are comfortable with games coming out being just bad, and then having the mindset of just, well, they'll get better eventually. Yeah, that might fix it. It might come back. It might do this. It might do that. It's whatever. And that essentially is just this horrible way of thinking, especially when it comes to games, things that at one point in time, when it came out on release, had to be perfect. It couldn't afford to have clipping, bugs, like just all of these like falling through floors and grounds and things like that, certain things not working, basic necessities that you would have within video games like saving or autosave now. Those things, you couldn't afford to not have those, because once the game went out, it went out, and that was it. But now with the initial, with the ability to essentially add in downloads, have patches and whatnot, you're able to fix games, but the games themselves are genuinely half the time not even complete, as well as the notion of like DLCs and stuff like that. But that's its own problem within the gaming sphere. But look at essentially like recently with the Switch 2, they came out and then they revealed the price, and the price is going to be like $449. Considering that it's a brand new console with a limited number of games, it's not a lot, but it's like you're buying this brand new console with a limited number of games, and again, we're not even sure those games are fucking complete, but or they work right or anything like that. You would be paying more than you would for currently a PlayStation 5 Slim. So I said Slim. PS5 Slim is like $400. So that's and then the Slims are all digital, but but still, like, think of this in terms of the metrics and like getting a game or something like that for somebody, or like as a gift or whatever. That's all the current PS5 games that you're able to get, with essentially price reduction on a lot of them, because it's been out for a while. So you probably wouldn't even be buying things at full price. The majority of the stuff you would get would probably be 40, 30 bucks, and those would be big deal, big hit games. Now let's say you have a PlayStation Plus subscription, to which case, like, there's a lot of free games that you would then be able to play. But just realistically, there's more bang for your buck if you used to buy an older, more reputable console than this brand new one that, again, we don't even know if they got all the kinks out yet. So it's ridiculous that they decided to release their console, which one of the benefits of it is essentially it being an on-the-go kind of console. It's damn near handheld, that a lot of people really enjoyed and utilized. But when you think about the fact that it's like the Steam Deck exists, and it essentially has the entire library of Steam games that you have that you're able to play on that, in response to what Nintendo had, it's just not worth it to buy it now. And I say this because eventually they will reduce the price. Eventually. It's not going to stay that way forever, because there's no way in hell outside of the people who essentially initially really want to get it are going to get that game at that price. Now, currently, the regular Switch, its price never changed, but at the same time, its price wasn't an issue. It wasn't something that you looked at, even with all the games that Nintendo had coming out and all the stuff that they had going on with it, that you would look at and go, oh yeah, like this, I'm gonna wait for this to go down. And it's like, no, it's about like what, like 300 to 250, something like that. It's not that expensive, and you now have all these Switch games and whatnot that are out. But within the mindset of Switch 2, everything that they did to it, and it's like, hell, if you want to play your Switch games on a Switch 2, you have to pay extra money as well as get a subscription service, which costs money, dude. And then to get most of the benefits from the said subscription service, you need the bonus pack to that subscription service. Dude, you're already paying so much just to have the console, which is damn near $50 less than the standard PS5 price. And the PS5's base price aren't even that anymore. They're lower. So, depending on where you want to find one. So why? Why would they do this? This is so retarded in every sense of the word, because of the fact that where it's like everything about what it is that they're doing with the Switch 2 is something that essentially I've always advocated as a bad thing for gaming, because it is a bad thing. Fuck, the physical copy, like the games are being sold as both a digital copy and a physical copy. But the physical copy is $10 more than the actual digital copy. But, and this is something that pisses me off because a lot of the gaming media aren't even talking about this, and this is just outrageous. The physical copy is a digital key that allows you to download the digital copy. Do you fucking understand? Just how they said this in their little Nintendo Direct thing when they were talking about the Switch 2. They talked about this ridiculous fucking thing that they're going to do with physical copy games, which basically just removes the idea of a physical copy, but for some reason gives people a false sense of security that they're getting something physical. You're not. You're buying the access code for the digital copy, and it, for whatever reason, you're going the long route and it costs $10 more. You're getting a digital download the long way. Jesus Christ, this is so disgusting. I hate that this is happening. And then one of the biggest things that basically was going on within gaming was essentially that Grand Theft Auto 6 was going to drop. And the notion is that Grand Theft Auto 6 would probably drop almost at $100. That is totally plausible, and it makes absolute perfect fucking sense. Considering how big the game is, considering how much people want to play the game, considering what it is that the title itself is, as well as what Grand Theft Auto is, being the biggest and most sold video game of all time. The game right underneath it was Minecraft, and they just had a goddamn movie. But the fact remains is that what GTA 6 is promising, what it's supposed to bring, what people are going to do with it, the price tag upon its initial release makes absolute sense because the game itself demands that price tag. It's that big. You know, it's like if you go, it's like, you know, you go to a concert to see somebody, and it's like, all right, it's going to cost more to see someone who's far more famous and established than it is for someone who's newer and, you know, not that well known. But you're still paying to go to a concert. But it's like, yeah, the ticket prices, they make sense. It matters. So that's in a sense within the quality of entertainment, you know. And it's like, again, you know, when you recognize and you understand what it is that you're supposed to get upon paying this ridiculous ticket price. So now you look at the gaming sphere and it's like, okay, considering what the Switch 2 is and what Nintendo is trying to do within its gaming practices, why the fuck would anyone want to pay that? Now, I always think back to, it's a rhetoric that essentially a lot of people don't even touch on within, like, how bad the gaming media has manipulated people. But one of the major things that they do in order to get people to essentially buy into this bullshit is that the developers and the publishers use the gaming media to get people to believe in FOMO. And if you don't know what that is, a fear of missing out. But they make people, especially kids, think, you know, if you don't play this game or if you don't have this game upon day fucking one, you're gonna miss out on so much shit. Remember when games got released and they would have the day one edition, and it would just come with silly shit that didn't matter, and then later on you could just purchase it or get it for free on a DLC depending on little events or whatever that you did. Final Fantasy games did this all the time. I remember particularly I had Final Fantasy 15 did that, but I bought the day one edition like years down the line. It was just at a store. It was like, all right, yeah, I just got it for cheap. So, and again, and it came with some shit that didn't matter. I didn't even use it. It was like a sword and some outfit or whatever. And I was like, I don't like the way these look, but ugh. But the gaming media itself, and it's like, they always contend with this bullshit. Why? I don't know. They're dumb. It's their job to get this shit as soon as it drops, day damn one and whatnot. But it's not up to you to actually care to do that. We're long past the idea of a bunch of people being like, oh, this game came out, I need to get it, I have to get it. That kind of only works within your circle of friends, you know? And now with gaming itself and how kids are, the majority of them spend their time playing games of a service. But the games of a service that they play are the well-established ones that just basically all kids play because they're just predicated towards children. But other than that, no one plays Minecraft with the idea of like, oh, I gotta play Minecraft, I'm gonna miss out on you using your imagination to build shit. No, there's nothing for you to miss out on. Aside from the fact that it's like, well, your friends are playing that. And it's like, okay, well, now over the years, and it's like, yeah, it is what it is. But the other concept of video games, whether it be the brand new Pokemon that came out, the Donkey Kong that's coming out, all this shit that Nintendo is essentially releasing and showcasing, and for you to believe that, oh yeah, you definitely, most definitely need to get this game as soon as it drops, this is a goddamn fallacy. You don't need to do that. Think of the people who essentially bought GTA 5 as soon as it came out. You a sucker. Because now GTA 5 is perfection, but with it comes with all the bells and whistles and the kinks knocked out. Now you get it now, you'll get it for cheap, as well as like you'll be able to do basically everything that game promises to offer on a better system. But that game came out during the PS3, Xbox 360 era. Was it Xbox 360? Xbox One. Yeah. Xbox One? I don't remember. But 360. Yeah, 360. Right? Fuck, Xbox is so goofy. Ah, God. How hard would it have been to, 720, 640? Like, it was a layup. But just stupid. Yes. Like, Xbox 360, Xbox 720. Cool. Xbox One. Dumbass. Hell, just called it 1X. Even that would have been better. But within, like, just like you think of a game essentially as big as Grand Theft Auto, and it's like, all right, with that is going to come FOMO. But it's like, with that game, knowing how Rockstar operates, that game is not going to be perfect upon its release. It's not going to come out with everything that you want and that you need attached to it. You know that eventually they're going to release a higher, like a better version of it that'll come with possibly extra stuff added to it. There's just no longer a necessity outside of you just really, 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 really wanting to play something because you happen to be a fan of that game in general, or you like know all that you need to know about it and been looking into it and are just excited. It happens to be a game that hits that good spot for you. Aside from that, there is absolutely no reason to go out of your way to purchase and buy this shit under the idea of fear of missing out. Now, there's so many people in the game media itself that's going to make you believe that you have to, but you don't. You really, really don't. And I feel that what's even worse is that, and it's something that I remember from Razorfist saying, and I completely agree, is that he was speaking on video games in terms of the quality of video games, the content that comes out, and what it is that essentially people are getting and how they're upset for this stuff. And much like with my fear of missing out concept, and it's like what he was saying was that the reason they keep making this shit is because you keep buying it. And it's like, hey, that's the main problem. The issue with Nintendo, aside from the backlash and everything right now, is that Nintendo is essentially pulling some shit that the rest of the gaming world is looking at to see whether it's a yay or a nay. And a lot of people are going to do the exact same fucking thing without realizing the metric, because this is the issue that I was going to have with Grand Theft Auto, but now what Nintendo is doing is on a bigger scale, just stupid. But you're going to have so many people copy their rhetoric in order to get more money. But initially, if no one buys this shit, Nintendo will scrap it immediately. They will change all of their practices. Everything that you got, that you see that they're trying to push, they will not do. The problem is that their fan base is really diehard and dedicated, and so they're going to make a bunch of money. But let it be to where that's the only that's all that they get. Not from regular gamers, casuals, or people trying to get shit for their kids and whatnot. Those people essentially move to other places. Like, they go on and do other stuff. They'll buy other games and whatnot. And then when Nintendo sees that well run dry, because that casual shit still, that brings in a lot of dough. When that well runs dry, they'll change. And the thing is that if other people see that essentially, hey, there's no fucking way we can get away with doing what Nintendo tried to do, because Nintendo had a dedicated fan base, and we're BioWare. We've fucked up 3 times already. It's the only way to save gaming, because yes, inevitably it's going to be where it's only digital downloads and whatnot, but we don't have to be that era to experience that. That could be some shit our grandkids have to worry about, because at that point in time it'd be too late. That's what that can be. It doesn't have to be for us, because I for damn sure don't want to buy digital copies of games or whatnot. I like having a disc. I like my collection. I like the idea that, hey, if PlayStation Plus just shut the fuck down one day, I could still just put my disc in my game and it'll load up. It might be buggy, it might not be everything perfect, but I can still play my game. But no. This is just beyond gross. This is just absolutely abysmal, and I do not like it, and we do not need it. This is just so fucking sick. Ugh. It's terrible because the alternative, there's really no alternative. The alternative is that you essentially just don't give a fuck for the game, for games. But we're now in this weird process of the gaming developers and designers are only two people, and it's greedy motherfuckers and a bunch of people trying to push an agenda. The idea of creativity, gone. People who actually give a damn about the game and just want to see it being done really, really well, gone. But then you have the outliers that essentially go with but that's for like the bigger AAA studios is what I'm saying. But you have the outliers where you have Larian, who literally just released their last patch for Baldur's Gate for free. And it came with different classes that you're able to play with in the game, as well as like other added like so many other added features and whatnot. But it was the last patch that they were going to release. Baldur's Gate 3 won Game of the Year, 2 years ago? And it just received its final patch from a studio that isn't going to work on Baldur's Gate 4. They said they're just going to make a brand new game. But that's passion, that's commitment, that's dedication. Fuck, you seen that in No Man's Sky? No Man's Sky is a completely different game from what it was when it first came out. But passion, commitment, dedication, people who actually are creative and care. And No Man's Sky has done really well for itself, considering all that it's done to improve and correct the mistake that it made from coming out the way that it did. That's amazing. That's awesome. Yeah, you got big deals like Fortnite, Grand Theft Auto, Minecraft. Yes, there's a generation of people that are just addicted to those types of games, but we have seen time and time again that the games of service that aren't under those umbrellas tend to fuck up and do kind of bad. So, if you want gaming to get better, this is just me talking to people who happen to be gamers that are listening to this. If you want gaming to do better, you gotta stop buying this shit. You gotta stop buying the games that you know are gonna suck. You gotta stop thinking that you can't have an argument against the people talking about these games unless you've played it, because that's not true. You got to not allow them to entice you with FOMO, especially understanding that these people go hand, like the gaming media and the gaming sphere, they're all a part of the same machine. So yeah, you're not going to see a bunch of the big time YouTubers who review video games ever actually give an honest opinion about a game. They need to keep pushing this shit so they can get paid by by these publishers and developers to push this shit, to make you think that there's FOMO. Who gives a fuck if GameRanks rates a certain game an 8 out of 10? That doesn't mean shit. We've seen time and time again them bend over backwards to lie for the benefit of the game because of the fact where it's like, well, they don't want to piss off the developer. I've seen them say things where you can literally hear them kind of wince at the idea that, well, it's not as bad as people say, but I don't know what everyone's upset about. I've only played this game, so I don't know why the sequel is so kind of messed up. And then it's like, why are you full of shit? Why? But IGN, Kotaku, Polygon, these people get paid to make you do what it is people are currently doing. So just stop listening to them. Stop giving a fuck about what they're saying. I'm telling you, you can be a perfectly functioning adult and not have to play the brand new God of War as soon as it comes out. You can wait until they make sure it functions as a game properly. You can wait until you hear like, hey, this game is a piece of shit. And then there you go. Like I said, this is just going to be this is going to be a bad thing within gaming, especially if it does well, because it's going to make all these other idiots think that they can do what Nintendo did, because none of them are going to see, no, Nintendo is Nintendo, and you suck. I guarantee you, if this does well, I bet you when Naughty Dog releases that damn intergalactic game, they're gonna do the exact same thing, and then Sony's gonna be super confused as to why no one's buying it. I don't know why. I don't know why. This has been another episode of Phone Flame. I've been your host, Danieltheflame, and as always, good people. Hope you have fun.